Hi all, welcome to the Microsoft Insights webinar with Ensono. I'm your host Anahita, and I'm a partner cloud solution architect here at Microsoft, and I've worked with a ton of Microsoft partners on AI transformation and enablement. Today we'll be talking about a contentious topic in AI adoption, return on investment. Return on investments are tricky. 46% of leaders say they are already using AI and AI agents to fully automate workflows and processes. Yet 59% of organizations still worry about how to quantify those benefits of AI projects and how to measure the true ROI in these projects. We're also seeing frontier firms like Ensono report significantly higher results across 4 business outcomes because of their AI transformation and how they approach AI adoption for internal and client operations. Before I introduce our Ensono speakers, I want to level set on what I truly mean by frontier firm. At Microsoft, we describe frontier firms as organizations who leverage AI to 1. Enrich employee experiences by automating root tasks and freeing time for creativity. 2. Reinventing customer engagement by using AI for more personalized responses. 3. Reshape business processes by reimagining workflows with AI. And 4. Bending the curve on innovation by enabling every team to experiment and grow within AI to bring new ideas to market faster. One firm that is this today is Ensono, a large enterprise IT managed service provider with offices worldwide across the Americas and EMEA. I want to invite them on the virtual stage to share how exactly they are thinking about AI adoption and, more importantly, how they are measuring the return on investment on their AI projects. Please welcome Gordon McKenna and Jim Piazza.
Hey.
Yay!
Hello.
So let's start off with some introductions. Gordon, could you go ahead and please introduce yourself?
Yeah, hey, nice to be here, first of all. I'm Gordon McKenna. I'm the Global VP of Alliances for Ensono. So I look after, amongst other things, our Microsoft relationship all up from a global perspective, and very much involved on the front line with AI, working with my colleagues like Jim on understanding the way the technology curve is going and helping us as a business make sure that we adopt to that quickly.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Jim, could you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Hey, my name is Jim, and I am the Chief AI Officer here at Ensono. I've been here for about 2 years and spent the last 3 decades in data center operations and the managed services provider space.
Awesome. Now that we're all introduced, I want to start off with my first question to Gordon. So, Gordon, could you please tell us about Ensono's frontier firm story and why you've decided it's been a priority for your organization?
Yeah, thank you. So first of all, I mean, I want to go all the way back to, I think it was November 2022 when ChatGPT first came out. And I personally knew something was going on because within a week, my son was using it. Within 2 weeks, my wife was using it, who's a technophobe. And, obviously we all know the history, right? Copilot was kind of born out of that. And, us as a business, as an MSP, realized that this was something we had to adopt to actually be competitive, to grow effectively. And when Copilot first came out, which I think was about a year later, we were a 0-day adopter of Copilot, and we kind of used it across our business. We had a trial number of users with it, and very interesting. If I look today, I don't think there's anybody that's not using either Copilot or Agentic AI in our business. And it's become almost as common as a PC. You have your PC provisioned, and then you have your generative AI provisioned on your desktop. I think it's become that common. And actually, we, after running Copilot for a year and training our users and leaning in where they needed to and creating communities for them to come to and share prompts and learn how to use AI properly, we realized that we needed something a little bit more than the Copilot on the desktop, and we developed our own agentic AI platform that's called Enso AI, to go with the Ensono name. And Enso AI is a platform that has Copilot on the back end. It's built on Azure AI, and it really has allowed us to not only expand what we do with our end users from an agentic AI point of view, and to give you an idea, every single department now is creating agents and pushing them out, and I use multiple agents across multiple departments, but it's expanding the functions that we can do, you know, from kind of being able to use it to generate code all the way through to kind of writing documents. And it's really become a pivotal point in our business. And it really has allowed us to think of new ways of working and new ways of optimizing. And actually, it led to us realizing that we needed to move agentic AI into the mainstream of our business and to the apps that matter, right? You know, to take the phrase. And actually, we're a managed service provider, right? So the biggest app that matters to us is really the one that keeps our customers' lights on, right? The ones that you know, make sure that our customers go down and don't go down, I should say. So we, you know, what we did is we brought in Jim, right? You know, to kind of focus on this with his data center background and really realize how we can actually reduce downtime for our customers. And I think Jim's going to go into a little bit more detail on that. And I think that you know, focusing on that app that matters, that most critical application to our business, has really allowed us to get better visibility from you know, our board, and it's really allowed us to get more funding. And Jim now is expanding his footprint and doing more AI, and it's now touching all other areas of our business, right from marketing, who were one of the earliest adopters, you know, all the way through to finance and you know, getting it to do things like write statements of work, you know. So it really has been a game changer for our business. I'm very, very excited about it, and it's changing by the day, right? We're adopting new technology as it's coming out, you know, as there's new LLMs being added, we're adopting them, and it's a very exciting place to be.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Nice, just story. Perfect. I guess, can we move over to Jim so you can dive a little bit deeper into the AI agents you've built today, how Ensono's using it today, and really what's the ROI?
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for the question. So when we think about AI at Ensono, we think about it in sort of three buckets. You have your sort of very traditional machine learning space, which has been around for decades, and you hear all the cool buzzwords around XGBoost and neural networks and all that good stuff. And then you have sort of the generative AI space, which is sort of, you know, all of the Copilot features that are out there and those sort of chat capabilities. And then the latest, as Gordon referenced, you know, we have the Agentic platforms that are coming out and in place. And so we really look to leverage all three of those across our business where appropriate and where applicable. Here's the really cool part. Really cool part is not when you just use one bucket to solve a problem. It's when you use several buckets working together. So across our platforms today, we have three sort of main pillars, if you will, of different agents. The first that I'll talk about is Envision Predictive Engine. And that allows us to basically go through and predict when failures are going to happen before they happen. So it's the next step in the whole journey that we've been on in IT about going from reactive to proactive to now predictive. And so that's what that platform gives us. We also built an application called Diagnose Now, which allows us to basically go in and troubleshoot any incident that happens across the business, whether it's a major incident or not. And so that allows us to shrink mean time to repair for our customers. And then the last is Change Guardian. Because anybody who's been in IT for any length of time knows change equals risk. And so we want to try to minimize that risk wherever possible. And so those are sort of the three main elements that we've put in place from an agent's perspective today. I'll say this, on the Diagnose Now side and around the metrics that you mentioned in ROI, it's something that's really important. And everybody's sort of trying to figure out, if I go spend this money, how do I capture the return that I'm going to get on that? And I think it's really important as we go through this journey together that we try to ground as much of this stuff in the core business metrics that we've relied on for a number of years. Really early and easy way to do that is by understanding how each of your metrics today that you look at, how they're influenced. So for example, if I know that major incidents are an extremely important part of our business, especially to our customers, is that number going down? And so we can look at that over time and say, yes, you know, some of these tools are starting to make an impact. Here's where they're starting to do that. Another example is mean time to resolve, which is another industry sort of core metric in the managed services provider space. And you can apply the same methodology to any one of the individual business areas that we're talking about. So that's just a couple of ways that we think about sort of the agents that we have and how we tie those to ROI.
Awesome. So, I mean, I guess how do you make sure that you're building an audible solution or control over the AI agent workforce?
So that's a great question. There has to be a series of checks and balances. And in my mind, utilizing the technology that we have today, and you've heard people reference, the term, digital workforce as an example. That's super important. So if we sort of expand on that concept and we say, well, if we're going to use agents to go perform some work in the company on behalf of our customers, we should treat them like an employee. So shouldn't they have a registered Workday ID if that's your HR system of record? And so we want to be able to provide not only an auditability standpoint from an agent perspective in terms of being a digital employee, but also what actions did that agent go and take. And so we happen to use a well-known platform, ServiceNow, for our ticketing system. They should log all of their actions within that so that you have traceability and accountability across different systems that triangulate together to give you that sense of confidence that I know what the agents are doing, I know what happened, and I know what actions they're capable of taking.
So how does the team think about performance management, like best of breed versus bleeding edge versus like adaptability? And does it even matter for return on investment?
Oh, great question. It does matter. And performance management, I think, is something that we continue to evolve in the space as the space continues to evolve. And we use this really cool thing called a confusion matrix in the machine learning world, where it sort of measures the performance of a model as an example. And so whether you take that same sort of concept and apply that to other technologies or other principles, the most important thing to remember is that this space changes daily, sometimes hourly. And so we constantly see, technologies leapfrog one another, like when it comes to models or LLMs for that matter. And so building a system that's orchestrated in such a way that you can swap them out and retain that adaptability, that's what's really important. That's what's going to be able to not only continue to provide a good ROI, but continue to evolve that over time as well.
Okay, a question for Gordon now. How can clients work with Ensono to bring their AI vision to reality and can get an actual return on investment?
Yeah, well, so it's very interesting, the stuff that Jim was talking about, which is focusing on your most critical apps. We learned a lot from that, as we've kind of talked about, and making sure that our clients do that is super important. Follow the same path. So we've taken that methodology, that knowledge, that framework, and we're applying that to our clients today to help them focus on the apps that matters and help them get that ROI so that they can get the funding overall for their AI transformation. So a really good example is I've got a transport company that we're working with at the moment, and they score very lowly on cancellations, right? So their most important thing was, how do we reduce the number of cancellations? And actually, when we looked under the covers, a lot of the cancellations were being caused by a very old way that they do scheduling, right? So, if, for example, somebody phones in sick and they need somebody to jump on that bus, for example, well, they have to look at who else is available. Does that person know that route? Do they know that particular bus? Are they close? And that was a very manual process. So we used a combination of machine learning and data automation and agentic AI to focus on making that a more efficient application. So now that's an automated scheduling app. So when somebody goes sick, the agent takes over and basically starts to work out who best to put on the route. And we have, the goal that we set ourselves was to reduce cancellations by 90%. And we've actually been running it for about 6 months now, and we've almost got to the 50% reduction in cancellations. That's what an impact is. And now that business is like, wow, this is great. I can see the impact it's having in my business. It's measurable. How do I go out to more of the functions in my business and use AI to make them better? So that's a great example how we take that learning that we've got internally. We've eaten our own dog food, if you like, to use a term, and we're applying that to our customers. And now, we've got a workshop that we do with Microsoft, an App That Matter workshop, which is some of Microsoft's learning around the same thing, our learnings together, and we can take customers down a very systematic approach to doing agentic AI, for example, and we can focus on a critical app that matters with them, and we can make sure that they kind of work out the ROI, get the business buy-in, so that they can expand projects. Now, that's an App That Matter workshop. And if customers want to work with us and Microsoft on those workshops, there's a QR code on the slide that they can photograph and connect with us, and then we can set up some time to talk to them about what the requirements are and walk them into one of these workshops with us.
Awesome. I mean, I want to thank you guys both for being here and just sharing all your expertise and everything. It's been a great session.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you to the audience for joining us today.